Welcome to another Western Ag Life Voices podcast, where we celebrate the people that make up the rich fabric of the Western lifestyle. Please do us a favor and thank the sponsors, because without them, we couldn't bring you these free podcasts.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Paul Ramirez with the Western Ag Life podcast. We're another great day in America, and we got a special guest on this morning. We're going to talk a little bit about the new venture that has taken place with the Future Farmers of America and the National Auction Association and American Auctioneers. And so they've got, we have a really great guest on this morning. Justin Kennedy is going to be on here from Oklahoma. And we'll have a discussion about what's playing out and what that's starting to look like. Certainly growing by leaps and bounds. I'm going to pay a few little bills here. And those of you that know that I am in real estate, sell farms and ranches and horse properties. And I have this spectacular horse property for sale in Sonoyta, Arizona. Sonoyta is a unique part of Arizona in the fact that there's really not a lot of cacti in this area, a lot of grassland. And this particular home has a 360 degree to the mountains, and it's just a really spectacular property. Metal roof, as you can see there, has a semi-detached car garage. There's shops and outbuildings, and wonderful views. This area in Arizona is about 12 to 15 degrees cooler on a basis than it would be in the Metro Phoenix and Tucson areas. And there's grass and plenty of blue sky. And even from time to time, there's some water there. So if you have any questions about this property, feel free to reach out to me. You can find me either on social media, or you can find us, and you can look at more details about this property at stockmansrealty.com. Well, Justin Kennedy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Paul. How are you?
Good. Well, what's the weather like in Oklahoma?
Well, it's been cool. We finally feel like fall has arrived here. Got some cool weather the past few nights. Had to turn the heater on for the first time.
And Justin, what town do you live in, Oklahoma?
I live in Tallahassee. It's down in the southeast corner where the mountains are. Not a lot of people know that there are mountains in Oklahoma, but we live down in the southeast, far southeast corner. We're about an hour from Arkansas and an hour from Texas.
So, And did you grew up in that area? Is that where you're originally from?
Yep. Born and raised here, lived here my entire life, pretty much.
Perfect. Well, the one thing that precipitated, me inviting you to come on the podcast was that, the activity that you placed into this CDE for the Future Farmers of America in regards to the Auctioneer contest. And so I wanted to bring you on there. But what I'd like to do just a little bit for our listeners, find out just a little bit about, you and about your youth and how you came, to being a member of the FFA. And then, of course, now you're, perpetuating this auctioneer, endeavor. So where did you grow up at?
Well, I'll just start and tell you a little bit of my story, but I grew up in FFA. My ag teacher was my best friend's dad, and he was a huge change in my life. He was a person that was like a second dad to me, and did so many great things for me. And it was what I wanted to be when I grew up. Right, was an ag teacher. I wanted to give back in the same way that he gave to me. And so when I went on to college I went to Eastern Oklahoma State College and on to Oklahoma State University, and majored in ag ed, and got out, had a great experience student teaching, got out and taught ag for a while, and got my master's degree and moved into administration. And then I moved on to a tech center where we did adult training, and we had those classes where we could piece classes together, and as long as we could make money doing them, we would have a class. And one of my buddies had gone to auction school at Worldwide College of Auctioneering, and he came back, and he was trying to do what a lot of people do. They go to auction school, and it's like, now what? So he had been working in the oil field, and we started trying to figure out some ways and some things that he could do. And he said, well, I could do this. And I said, well, we pay, $25-30 an hour to teachers, and we'll give you, an opportunity, to kind of help. And, what can you teach? And he He said, well, I just went to auction school, but auction schools are different, and I said, well, I can figure it out. I can figure out how to do it. So probably in the first way in the history of the world, I was the guy that figured out how to start an auction school that had never done anything with auctions before. And so we started piecing this together, and I took some stuff from every auction school in the country. I looked over curriculum. I figured out what I was going to do, and I went to my first state association convention in 2020. In February of 2020, I went to Arkansas and the Oklahoma convention. And I told all of the auctioneers in those two states that I was going to start an auction school. And they kind of looked at me cross-eyed and wondered what in the world I was talking about and what I was doing. And then we all know what happened in about March of 2020. The whole world changed. It shut down, and luckily for me that kind of happened, because I wasn't ready to do what I was planning to do that summer and start an auction school. And so we had a year to do that again. And so the next February, I showed up at both of those conventions again, and I said, hey, here I am, and we're starting an auction school. And this year, the world's opened back up, and we're going to have classes. And so there was a group of about 8 or 10 instructors that came on with me and have stuck with me and have been amazing to help. And one of those, just to kind of get how we got into this FFA deal, one of those has been Morgan Hobson. She is just an incredible person. She's the president of the National Auction Association right now. I think the 7th woman in history to hold the role as president, and the youngest in the history of the National Auction Association to be the president. But me and her just became really great friends. She has taught for me, stuck by my side since the word go, and became one of my greatest friends. And together we kind of started, and with my history as an ag teacher, and starting out in the business, we decided that we were going to start an FFA contest. And I had been pressuring the state staff, Oklahoma state staff that I knew really well here in Oklahoma, let me start a career development event. Let me start a career development event. Guys like Scott Schumann, while he was president of the NAA, had kind of paved a way for this to happen with the SAE that was started. He had Scott Stump in part of his advisory role, who's the CEO of National FFA. And they created that SAE and had some classroom materials and stuff that came out through NAA. But what we kind of saw with that SAE is it created a pathway, but really the only ones that it kind of got into it was the ones that kind of already had a history in the business, right? The Cotton Bookers of the world, that 5th generation in the business. He was able to capitalize on that SAE and go all the way as an American Star finalist using that. But we really wanted to see new people come into the business, people that had never even been to auctions, never had a history of that in their life. And so we did this, and I finally had one of the state staff in Oklahoma. He said, let's just do it. He said, we'll ask for permission later. He said, let's just have a contest, right? Let's just put it together. You put it together. Tell me what you need, or tell me what we need to do. And so we took the IJAC rules from Conference and Show, and we made those the rules for a state contest. We put some FFA objectives with them, and we tried it here in Oklahoma. And in the first year, we didn't do any of the camping contests and stuff that we're traveling and doing now. We just had the contest in February, and we had 42 kids show up at the first contest that we did in Oklahoma. Wow. And they stood on the stage, and they were incredible. We live streamed it, and we had about 25,000 people watch those live streams. And when we narrowed it down to 10 and crowned a top 10 that day at our Oklahoma Auctioneers Association convention, they went on to the state contest, which we hosted in the career show area at the Oklahoma FFA convention. And we probably had over 1,000 plus people come and watch that day. Ag teachers and students and parents and people just flocked to the stage. More people than watched the IAC or the IJAC, either one. And it was just an incredible experience. From that moment on, everybody that was sold, we have all world champions judge both of those contests. And so we invite world champions to judge from all different realms, from the livestock realm, from the auto realm, and from the IAC winners. So we find those to come and judge. And it was just a really, really incredible experience. Every time we live streamed it, my phone just started ringing off the hook from states all over the country and said, "Hey, can you show us how to implement this? Can we do this?" It really wasn't a plan of mine that this was just going to be something that was going to take off and be national. I just wanted to do it in my state because it was something that I loved. I'd fell in love with the auction industry since 2020, and when I got my start in it. And so this is just something that I want to do. And we put it on a live stream and hosted it, and then it just blew up on us. And then we were doing it in Arkansas, and then we were doing it in Colorado, and we had 62 kids in Colorado at our first one. We had 40 in Arkansas, and then we've gone to California. We've been to South Carolina and Tennessee, and all of these states just helping get started. We've ran into some roadblocks in states and different things with state associations and whether we can do that or not. But now we've kind of formed a partnership with National FFA and moving forward. And this program has just really taken off and become something special. We've seen it just pave a way for students to do really, really incredible things. Some of them are taking off. One of our state champion 2 times in Oklahoma helped sell the event the other night at the Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame induction.
Wow.
And just get to do really, really cool things and open up doors for them. And so people have really just bought in and said, I'm going to take this kid under my arm. I want to help them. I want to help them get started in the business. I want to give them an opportunity to do things. And so the cream has kind of rose to the top. We've had some states that want to throw a bunch of things in other than the bid calling, and we say just make it fun. Just get these kids hooked, right? It's about introducing them to the career. If we start teaching them about real estate contracts and all of the stuff that ultimately you're going to have to do one day, they're going to run for the hills when they're 14 years old. Our first champion in Oklahoma was a 14-year-old 8th grade girl.
Wow.
And she's just grown into an incredible person. She came to auction school. We had 11 of these FFA students last year in our auction school class. And so those from a few states have kind of been the ones that rise to the top and say, I want to invest further. I want to go further. I want to be in this business, right? So not all, 700-800 of them or whatever that we have across the country that are doing it in FFA now probably are they're definitely not all going to do that, but the cream starts to rise to the top, and they'll decide, I'm going to go to auction school. I want to invest in this further. Several of them are going to Ringman School. We're giving 6 scholarships to go to Ringman School to FFA students here in Oklahoma from money that we raised. We did a FFA Teams event in August, and we're giving all of that money back in scholarships for Ringman School. So
that's fantastic. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm a big fan. I had the blessing of being involved in the Future Farmers of America, and I got to attend Washington, D.C. Also went back then. I'm dating myself, but back then National Convention used to be in Kansas City, Missouri, and I have the American Farmer degree. So certainly, I'm a big fan. And one of the things, that's originally kind of started this conversation is that we're looking forward to, starting a contest here in Arizona also. And so we're going to be leaning on you quite a bit for that. So, and certainly up until this point in time, you've been a big help to us getting this kicked off. And so I think probably other states, I don't want to put you out there for hire, but certainly I know that you've been extremely approachable with me. And so I feel like, if somebody wants to reach out and contact you, that's certainly a possibility.
Yeah, we we stay open to anybody that wants our help. More than happy to come. What we've really been doing, like my auction school has kind of been the one that has like jumped in and said, "Hey, let us come to your state. If you want us to, we'll come to your state and we'll run one of these camping contests." You get the instructors from your state. We'll just kind of administratively handle the background, take the enrollments, do the things, and help all day with all of the other things that it takes. Right? If you can find 4 instructors from your state and a few judges, we'll make sure that this works. Even if we have to help instruct that day, we will. Usually, I bring a team of 3 or 4 people with me that are really good at it, and we've kind of fine-tuned it. We've done it 3 times in California now. We've had 120 students in California. Wow. We did we did a central, a northern, and a southern, and we had at least 30 in each one of those, 40 in the northern and southern, and so that was a really, really cool thing to see. We just finished South Carolina last week, did it on Wednesday, and did Tennessee on Monday. And so after leaving National FFA Convention. So there are several states that are just jumping in and trying to do it. Having some conversations with Idaho and Georgia right now, and so Mississippi. There are several states all over the country that are working on getting this, and I know there are several that are doing it on their own as well, and which is fine. But we've tried to keep the states very similar and the rules and the things that happen. That way, when we go to National FFA with the CDE, it's not, well, Arizona's doing this and, New York's doing this, right? We would like to try to see that it's pretty similar to what the IJAC is. We have a very, very united front as a group that we say, this is what we're doing and this is how we want it to go. And National FFA looks at it and goes, well, I've never seen anything that's organized with this many states being on the same page, and it makes it an easier thing to take it to a national level.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm sure you must have attending the national convention, the Future Farmers of America convention there in Indianapolis. What was last week or so?
Yeah,
I'm sure you must. So certainly you've started some dialogue with them in regards to going forward with this as an endeavor that they're going to embrace.
Yes. So there are kind of three different levels, and this has just changed within the last couple of years within the National FFA organization. But there used to, you only had to have 15 states in order to become a full career development event at the national level. If we were under those old rules, we would have already met the qualifications to become a CDE, because we have more than 15 states with students doing that. But they hadn't had any organization in 25 years that had met that threshold. So a couple of years ago, they went in and kind of changed the structure, and they've also ran out of room in Indianapolis. It has grown so much, and it's so huge with so many people there that there's not a single room left anywhere in Indianapolis to put anybody. So they've started becoming real big on industry hosting things, and like, there are a few contests hosted outside of Indianapolis at the national convention. The National Land Judging Contest is hosted in Oklahoma City. It's a big one, and Oklahoma City has hosted that for decades. But there are also some other activities like turf grass.
Yeah, I saw that they had turf grass at one of the conventions, right?
Yeah, and it's just kind of become a big thing where they place those, and so there's three different ways to do this. So for this year, this really hasn't came out, but it's going to come out in a press release and kind of an announcement. We're working on an MOU with National FFA and the National Auction Association. I'm the head of the National Auction Association FFA Task Force. I chair that task force through the NAA, and we've worked closely to develop and create some dialogue with National FFA that says that this coming year, 2026, we're going to be a National FFA endorsed event, which means we can't crown a national champion. We're not going to use the word CDE at the national level, but they are going to endorse the event that we have at Conference and Show, which is the International Junior Auctioneer Championship, as an event for FFA members to come to. They're going to encourage them to participate in the IJAG. So after that, we'll take a look, we'll reevaluate in 2027, and the hope is that we would move to one of the other two sections, which would either be, the big hope would be that we're a full career development event and we get to host a contest in the middle of the career show at the National FFA Convention. Me and Morgan Hobson, we were there together, and we kind of took some video and took some places and got some ideas that we can approach them with as a hope that we can make that happen when we get that opportunity to visit with National FFA. If we don't get that done, we believe that we would at least get moved up to a National FFA recognized activity. A recognized activity means that we would be able to crown a national champion we would be able to use all of the terminology and the FFA things, but we would do that alongside the IJAC. So at the IJAC, we would crown a national FFA champion if they move us into that. So there's a couple of different options of how that's going to go and moving forward, but we really believe that we're going to be at a national level, and we hope that they see the value in it and the difference that it's making in kids' lives.
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly undeniable. It's made, you guys have made incredible strides, going forward with this. And I'm sure if you pick up another 10 or 12 states, I'm sure the FFA, you're going to have their ear, in regards to, wanting to embrace this, opportunity, to bring on another CDE. And certainly, yeah, my daughter received American Farmer 2 years ago, and we went there, and that place is full. I
Yeah.
mean, it's
That's why
full.
Kansas City couldn't handle it anymore. It's grown to just unbelievable numbers. And even Louisville, Louisville was an incredible place. Like it was kind of a great, when it moved from Kansas City to Louisville, it was really nice. And then we just outgrew the fairgrounds at Louisville. And then it's
Mm-hmm.
like now downtown Indianapolis, it's even like there's not another place. And it's just so big. And what National FFA does is so incredible. So it's a great thing to be a part of. And I think that once we kind of have shown them the impact that it's made, not only to state auctioneers associations, but to, with this, we kind of use the preliminary contest for the state association to pay for the student, to give them scholarships, to go to conference and show. We give them a full ride scholarship. We give cash awards to students. We do all of these things to give back what happens at the state association conventions, but then all of the proceeds from the final rounds that are at the state FFA conventions all goes to the state FFA association somehow. And then so whatever we did at National FFA and whatever that looked like, because we sell real items for real money, right, at all of these. Like it's not just a fake auction contest. We're putting these students in a real setting that they're selling real items for real money. And so we kind of told National FFA, like this is a great opportunity for your, to raise some funds and do something really neat with students.
Yeah, and I think undeniable, it fits in the mission of the Future Farmers of America, that, we're turning out people here that are career ready, you know what I mean? And then also the leadership component, about, teaching young people to get on stage and handle themselves, articulate themselves, and, also, of course we stress salesmanship, right? Salesmanship is part of the score. And so, I mean, yeah, I just think it's wonderful, and it will be a wonderful marriage when it completely fulfills. And I have no doubt in my mind that you guys will get that done. And certainly I've also, if there's anything I can do, you know what I mean, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things you mentioned, leadership, and that one of the big initiatives coming from National FFA is there's work on a youth leadership program where um, and it's in the beginning processes. We're nowhere near ready to announce this from the NAA level as far as something that's going to happen, but we're in the process of trying to build an event that is a CAI type leadership event, because we have all of this youth coming in, and it's like, what do you do with them, right? Like, how do you continue to foster this growth and build a pipeline and not just have these kids sitting here like, what am I doing? How do we take those kids that are rising to the top, the ones that are motivated and wanting to do something, and maybe they're 15, 16, 17 years old, like, so we're in the process of creating what looks to be possibly a 2-year event, scaled down to a youth level that's like a CAI pipeline youth type event, that we're going to put these kids in that leadership setting, a very motivational thing, try to keep them plugged into the business and into the association, and stay as a big part of everything that we do. So that wouldn't just have to be FFA members, but just youth in general. The look is probably that it would be like after the summer between their junior and senior year, and then the summer after they graduate, and then it would just propel them into a career in the auction world, and set them up for success with people that are in the business that would have an opportunity. We would assign them mentors. We would do great things on a national level. That's something that I'm really excited about, or really passionate about,
Man.
and pushing for. So.
Yeah, for sure. That's already a great program, as far as fostering leadership. And, this teaching this, auctioneering skill, it, coincides with the parliamentary procedure and all the leadership skills. And like we talked about, I mean, let's just say a young person doesn't go on and become an auctioneer. At least they are certainly going to be a better person for, being comfortable on stage. And who knows, when they could be called upon just to sell a pie auction or something, they have that skill. But more importantly, they understand the process too, right?
Yeah, and we tell every one of them, like, hey, not there's 60 kids here today. Not There's only going to be one winner at the end of the day, right? There's going to be one winner, but everybody here is a winner, because I tell, this is my speech every time that I start, every time we do a camp, every time we do something in any state. The number one fear in the world is public speaking.
Mm-hmm.
And the number two fear is dying. So
Yeah.
people would literally rather be dead than doing what you're doing today.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a winner. You may never be an auctioneer. You may never go on and sell real estate or automobiles or livestock or whatever it is. But because you've conquered the number one fear in the world, you may go on and be a doctor because of it today. You may go be a lawyer, or you may find a cure for cancer. But you'll believe that you can do more in life because you stood up here today and you conquered the biggest fear in the world. And so I think it does just make them better people, because that they've chosen to do this one career development event while they were in high school.
Amen, for sure. Justin, when this first started coming out, the one thing that kind of came to my mind, and I'm sure you've already dealt with this, was I know that, and of course, me being an FFA member myself and learning skills from our advisor, welding, drafting, leveling, livestock judging, those kind of things. I'm sure so I guess what I'm trying to ask you is, what's this look like for these advisors that have a young person that wants to engage in this CDE? However, this advisor maybe is not interested at all, but more importantly, really can't be of much assistance to a young individual, wanting to do this particular process.
I think that's a huge question that we've got from the word go, is like, I don't know how to teach it, like
Mhm.
how am I supposed to teach it? So really what we've tried to do in each state is tell everybody to try to find a mentor, try to, there's an auctioneer within driving distance of you somewhere. I can just promise you, like, there's somebody in your area. Throw a dart at the map, and somewhere within 50 miles of you, there's an auctioneer, right? But some of the greatest auctioneers, especially these young auctioneers, in the world today, the two previous IJAC champions were both taught on YouTube. Caleb Taylor and Brandon Mendoza, and both of those kids are just, I mean, fire breathers, right? In this auction world, and just a ton of potential and opportunity ahead of them. They both learned by watching YouTube videos on their phones, and so there's so much content and stuff out there for these students to learn how to do this and compete in this contest. Now they can watch the entire contest. They can watch instructional videos. They can watch Paul Ramirez, or they can watch Shane Ratliff, or they can whoever, and they can slow that down to 1/10 speed, hear the words that you're saying in it, and then start trying to do it themselves. The boy that was just the runner up at the IJAC this year, he's an Oklahoma boy, and has gone through my auction school. But he literally learned and got so good. He started in December at Christmas time, and the contest was in February, and he was so good, and made the top 10, and he's just going on to do incredible things, and is kind of at the top of the heat now in all of this, even at a national level. And it's all of these kids and the opportunity of using your phone and technology for good things instead of bad things. And so
Mhm.
if they can just get on there and watch those YouTube videos, there's so much practice on there, and so much things that they can use it and learn. The Brandon Mendoza and Caleb Taylor are two of the best auctioneer, auction chants that you will hear in the business when they were 17 and 18 years old, and it's all because of those YouTube videos. So.
Yeah, for sure. I had the good fortune of being a judge at the Livestock World Championship this last summer in Dunlap, Iowa. And I had not been to the contest for about 10 years, but I tell you what, there's just so many young guys that are just absolutely incredible. And, the one thing that came to my mind is that so many of these young guys now, like you said, they've had this opportunity to watch and study auctioneers, on YouTube. And, when I first got in the business, the only way you studied somebody was to actually go physically, be with them. There were a few tapes and VHS out, but it wasn't the access that you have now with with the internet. It's just absolutely incredible.
Those old Leroy Van Dyke tapes that you had to put
Oh,
in.
I had
They
used to have one called the Chant of the Champions. I think it was a cassette. Yeah. It had Terry Ellison on it, Ralph Wade, Ronnie Ball, a couple others, and Kenny Trout was on that one. And I mean, I literally wore that thing out and had to order another one. Of course, that was reel to reel. I mean, little cassette deal. And I literally wore that thing out. But, that's the way and then Ralph Wade came out with his My Auctioneering My Way. And of course, when I got that, I wore that thing out too. And so, but today, all these kids need to do is just click on and they can, have
watch
access
anybody
to
in the world. Yeah. I mean, you can literally, every auction is live streamed now. Every, and one of the cool things that we have seen in this too is like the attraction of some special needs kids to it too, because the auction chant is soothing to people that have struggled with that, and so this is one of the cool stories we have, and I know they don't mind me telling, but we had a boy that is Down syndrome in Arkansas, and it was a part of an amazing story. He watches a livestock market every single day. When he gets home from school, and like that's his passion is watching this livestock market. And he's an FFA member. He shows cattle, he does all of the things, but every single day when he gets home, he watches this livestock market in Okeechobee, Florida. And so his mom said he doesn't want to go to Disney World. He doesn't want to do anything else. His only dream is that he goes to this livestock market in Florida. And so when we heard that at one of these FFA camps, all the auctioneers, we got together and we started a fund a need, and we asked people to give money. And that day we raised a few $1,000s, and we made arrangements, and we sent him to Okeechobee, to this livestock market, and they treated him right. And when he got up on the stage, his first time and did this FFA event, right, he sold out for the wrong amount, and he sold out to Cracker, which is one of the order buyers in Okeechobee, right? He didn't sell out to anybody in the crowd, but we just fixed that stuff. Like, we just tell everybody, don't worry if somebody in the crowd bought it. We'll make sure it's fixed. We'll make sure the amount's fixed.
Sure.
These are kids, and we're providing an experience. And so anyways, Cracker Cattle Company put him on their semi and rode him into the livestock market, and they fixed his favorite meal in the sale barn, and they just did really, really great things. And so we've been able to create some experiences like that. I've stood beside some kids with autism that get up on the stage and get so nervous that they can't even speak, and I just go stand beside them and call out the dollar amounts, and they'll follow me. And so we've been able to create some really, really cool experiences for kids and the ag teacher every time says, I can't believe that they did that. And it was so cool that you just went up there and stood beside them while they did that. And so it hasn't just been about creating, the Caleb Taylors of Brandon Mendozas of the world. It's been about making that difference too, because we've been able to see some of the coolest things I've ever experienced and witnessed in my life. With what we've attracted and done in that too. And so it's given auctioneers a really great experience as well.
For sure. And, and also assisting these young people, in conquering their fears, you know what I mean? And know that if they conquered that one, they can conquer another one. I didn't want to pass by on a deal here. So I'm guessing at some point in time, that we talked about technology is, I'm sure you've already thought this, but are you guys going to put together some training material that, that FFA advisors could then, direct a student, for example, that wants to, maybe an advisor has 200 students. However, he's got three that, or one that wants to be an auctioneer, that, you could direct him through, the internet to watch and learn from that.
Yeah, and we talked about this about from the national level partnering with some people that are going to create some curriculum possibly that we're going to put out and do some things with. There are some really neat things that are out there already. I don't know if you have seen the guy that is he's a worldwide graduate that has authored the Augie the Auctioneer and now a book called Annie the Auctioneer, and it's a children's book. But they put together a small curriculum for people to do like 1 and 2 day camps with that they can do, and so that's a really cool opportunity. People can go online and purchase that, and his wife has a master's degree in like curriculum development, and so it's a really cool little piece of curriculum, some things that they can use. There are some games and some things that go along with the SAE that are on the National Auction Association website that have been a part of that they can use. And I've been telling auction schools in every state, capitalize in your state. If you're in whatever state it is, whatever auction school is closest to you, whatever one is most likely for you to use, take that and brand it. Give out your tongue twisters and your number drills, right? Like that's not a secret. Find a way to start there. I can remember talk about listening to those tapes. The first ones that I got a hold of and listened to, I was like, how many times can you say rubber baby buggy bumper before you're an auctioneer, right? Like this sounds ridiculous when you first start doing that. And kids look at us at these camps and say the same thing, like, what am I doing saying like rubber baby buggy bumper? What's that going to do for me? Like I still can't talk like him, and it's hard to see the end result. But like I've said, this is going to really benefit auction schools and places across the country. And so, I've told them, put your logo on some number drills and tongue twisters and send those things out. Let some people use that and just tell them that it's a repetitive process, and then try to refer them to some of those YouTube things and instructional things. There's some things on there where they have actual bidders that are bidding and will help you out throughout the process. So, but we are working and looking at what a curriculum could look like, a basic 8th, 9th, 5th grade type curriculum for FFA students.
Yeah, and then one thing that's pretty cool, I guess, I don't know if you got to utilize it or not. Are you familiar with Virtual Auctioneer, David Whitaker's?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, that has to be a nice tool for young kids, right out of the gate, because you can slow that thing way down and speed it up, and then I think that's one of the hardest things, at least for me when I first started, was to keep track of my bidders and where I was at.
Yep.
And that tool's a really nice tool. And so, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I've had a couple in auction school that they'll come through, and just the stopping, is something that they can't do. And so I think that's something you kind of have to figure out with students. Like there's people that'll sometimes show up at auction school and they just go 5, 10, 15, and they just keep counting, right? Like there's nobody raising their hand and they can't stop, they can't just stop and stay.
Well, they've probably been practicing at home and they don't want to, that they're practicing their number drills and they get stuck in that for sure. And then, but the flip side is I bet you've seen some young people, that kind of walk up there that have zero knowledge, and you're just like, wow, that guy has like crazy talent, huh?
Yep. Yeah, it happens every single time. That's what I say. Like every state that we go to, they're like, well, I don't know, none of these. And I'm like, I promise you, there will be 1 to 2 today, no matter where you are, that are just going to blow your socks off. Like they're just going to be like, wow, that one has some talent. They're gonna do something, and if they choose to stay in this industry, they will stay in it for a lifetime. But it's all over the board, and sometimes, but there's always going to be a couple.
For sure. And then one thing, we talked about, and certainly, all of us that are in the auction business, I was a live bid caller contract auctioneer for like 15 years, but the acceleration of the online bidding platforms, and the structure, online bidding structure has certainly changed our industry as a whole. And so, is there thoughts about how you're also, maybe there are some young people that may not have a desire to want to be a channer or bid caller, but yet they might want to become in the industry. They might want to become a part of the industry. And certainly we've seen that, in the national, was the Auctioneers Association has become the National Auction Association. I think for that very same, you know,
Yeah.
alignment is the fact that, you know, you just don't have to be a channer anymore, to be an auctioneer. But what a great way to, bring people into the industry.
Yeah, we're also, the partnership is not just with National FFA. There's a big national partnership, and the NAA is partnering with DECA too, which is a
Okay,
marketing organization.
sure.
And there's a huge
Fantastic.
marketing contest going on within that. And the FFA is just kind of a natural fit with this because of the public speaking aspect and all of the things. Like it's just what FFA members are typically, is the
Well, in the chant.
competent public speaker and the chant and the live barn and the sale barn and it just kind of a fit in FFA for the bid calling piece. But for the DECA piece, it's really nice that we have a marketing contest now, that's in an organization that's built around kids that want to go into marketing, right? Like,
Mhm.
and so uh, now we're just pulling them out of this world of where they can only be in the tech world, but they can be in the auction world, and they can do that, right? We're working on building some other partnerships with organizations like that, but also just letting them know that this bid calling is a small piece. It's the smallest piece of anything that you're going to do in the auction industry. It's the funnest thing that you're going to
Yeah,
do, right? It's the fun
if you
part
like it, if you
of the
like it.
business if you like it, right? Like
Yeah.
it's the thing that it's kind of gets all the attention, but
Mhm.
really, like, it's 1/10 of the work.
Oh,
Like
yeah, for
it's
sure.
not really even what you're going to do every single day. Even
Mm.
if you are a live bid caller, you're going to have to go catalog and do all of the things, and do all the behind the scene things, and you're going to have to set up online platforms and learn how to manage and operate those. And so that is part of the instruction in it that I think, as you go deeper, this contest is really what I call the hook in the mouth, right? Like, you can't reel the fish in until you have the hook in their mouth, and
Mhm.
that's really what we've tried to do with the bid calling piece and the contest. But just to say, hey, there's a whole nother world out there. This is the tiniest piece of the auction industry. It's picking up a microphone and sounding like you can do the cool party trick or whatever.
Mhm.
Like, it's fun to do, if you like it, but there's a lot of ways to make money in the auction business without a microphone.
Oh, amen. Yeah, and so for that, I'm really, I'm probably equally as excited, because I like to hear people, chant, but I also know that if we bring, these young people into our industry, and they don't necessarily have to be that big chanter, but if they'll learn the marketing and if they'll learn to start, utilizing the platforms that are available, the bidding platform, online bidding platforms. What a great opportunity. What a great business. And certainly, one thing I'm more excited than I've ever been is I really do start to see across the board that more and more people are starting to embrace the process with real estate. They see the benefits. They start to become extremely evident, to people, if they'll utilize this accelerated process of selling at auction, whether that's online or whether that's a live or whether that's a hybrid. I think we're going to see by leaps and bounds, I think, coming, forward, that people are going to want to participate and have their property sold at auction.
And I think the cool thing is that we haven't even thought about in this is, like, these young people are so innovative, right? Like,
Mm.
they're way smarter than me
And
or
they're not
you, right? Like,
intimidated.
and they're not intimidated by
Yeah, like
by
we are.
designing and doing, like, so.
And being
They're going
creative.
they're going to design some apps and some things on websites and do some things that it's like none of us have ever thought about before. And so I think by bringing all of them in at such a young age, we're gonna see some things change. they're going to invent some things. I sit down with benefit clients all the time and talk to them about something, and they're like, "Can we do this? Can we, can we vote and put this on a screen and do this and do it all within one app?" And I'm like, unfortunately, that's not out there. Like, if it is, I don't know about it. I can't find it anywhere
Not
where
out there yet.
all of that is encompassed in one. But there will be one of these kids that will invent and design all of those things that you want to do on an app, and it's able to, in real time, do all of the things that you want it to do at one of those events, because they're going to understand the industry, right? Most of the people that are designing those things for the auction industry are not involved in the auction industry, so they
Mm-mm.
don't really know what you need. These
Mm-hmm.
kids are coming in, they're involved in the auction industry, and they're going to see it as they get more involved in it as, hey, this is a problem that I need to solve, which is what the whole auction industry is, right? We're solving people's problems. And so I believe that these students are going to solve problems because they're smart enough to do it. And they're gonna fix some of those things, and they'll make probably millions of dollars doing it, that we're gonna wish we would have made at some point and designed something like that. So
Yeah, for sure. And like I say, that's the one thing I'm really excited about that, that you guys are doing is that we're going to bring young people into this industry that maybe had never been exposed to or would have had a chance to be exposed to it. And now for the first time, they're going to get to look at it. And like you said, I like the way you put it there. The hook there is to, get up and chant, but and hopefully going forward, there's going to be opportunity for those young people that come on board that maybe don't want to fool with the chant, but maybe they want to play with the technology,
mhm,
so, or play with the marketing. I think that's crazy great idea there to, to synergize there with DECA. And, I tell people all the time, and you alluded it to earlier, but it is true. When you actually see us physically turn the microphone on and chant, it's just a small percentage about what we really do on a daily basis. And I always tell people, and, especially in real estate, we're marketers. Now we use the auction process to sell it, you know what I mean? But if we don't market and we don't have bidders there, we're not fulfilling our job. And that job is to bring highest and best value for your product. And
correct.
so, yeah, I really do think that's going to be something that, looking forward to. I'm really, really excited about. As of course, again, I like to hear the chant, but I also am going to be excited to hear about some of the innovations that maybe these young people are going to come and see and be like, who knows what could happen from this.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Kudos to you for doing that. Um, what have you been most surprised about up until this point in time?
I really have. I think the biggest surprise for me is just how fast this has taken off and how quickly that it's spread. And my fear when we began here in Oklahoma was that some of the old hats, some of the guys that had been around for a long time would look around and go, "Why are all these dang kids running around our auction convention now? We got a bunch of 14, 15, 16-year-old kids running around
Amen.
here like what are they doing here?" And surprisingly, some of the most supportive people have been those guys that have been around and been in the business 50 and 60 years. They've been there and been a cheerleader. They've been the ones that have give and said, I'll sponsor one to go to auction school. I'll spot, like, so many of them have just gave and
I'll
gave
let
and
them
gave.
come and start helping me with box lots and stuff, right?
Yeah, it's been really cool to watch, because I thought, man, that won't be the case with some of these that get, sometimes the older you get, the grouchier you get, and I was a little bit concerned about that with some of those old Hall of Fame type
Hmm.
guys. But man, they have been behind us 110%, and literally, some of them that won't even show up for the actual contest that we have, maybe our state contest, to crown them, but they'll be there for the FFA contest. Like, so that's been fun to watch, that they're so behind it, that they'll come invest and help me be instructors. We in all of these different states. We're getting ready to go to Colorado next week again. Their camping contest is next week, and they host it alongside their National Western Meet and Greet. And so we've had, like, last year we had John Corey and Paul Seabear and just the giants of the industry there that are some of the, the biggest names in the history of the business. And I can remember my ag sales instructor at Oklahoma State when he told me, he said, everybody in life will tell you that life is about who you know. And he said, that's not true. Life's about who knows you. And last year we were out at the National Western getting ready for all of that. And Paul C. Bear walked up to me and he said, Justin, you might not know who I am, but I know who you are. And that was a full circle moment for me in life for Paul C. Bear to walk up, and that
Sure.
took me back to my junior year of college and my ag sales instructor telling me that life's about who knows you. And I just think that seeing those guys that are willing to show up at a cold day in Denver, Colorado, and Paul's not doing great in his health, but he's been just so supportive of this and wants to continue to give back and be there. And so guys like that I'm just so thankful for, that they continue to give back in the industry. And that's been a surprising thing for me, that they are all so supportive, because they're at a stage in their career and life where they don't have to be. So,
yeah, but what a great process for those, the Paul C. Bears of the world to, to mentor and let young people see how successful you can be in this business. I mean, it's great business.
And there's not a better first day instructor of auctioneers than Paul C. Bear, right?
Probably
Like
yeah,
there's
probably not.
First day one, like, and just to watch him work and do that, like, it's just so incredible to see somebody do that, and him continue to do and give like that. So
yeah, Paul could go to the Ditch Diggers convention and he'd be recruiting auctioneers out of that thing. I can promise you.
Telling them how great the business is. That's what, like, take them a piece of candy and give them a piece of chocolate and a coin.
Paul C. Bear coin.
Yeah, he'd give them a bag of chocolate and a coin, and tell them that there's a career out there that's better than this, right?
He's a great guy. Big fan for sure. Well, Justin, hey, I'm going to wrap it up here. Just a couple little finishing things here. So, I didn't want to put you out there for hire, but I don't think you mind. How can people get a hold of you if they have any questions in regards to either starting a contest or helping young people in an area that they know, or they have a young person that they, may know that would, be a good fit and could benefit from this?
Feel free to call me anytime. My number's 918-470-9350, or they can email me at justin@okauctionschool.com. More than happy to give any advice, help,
and then you're on social media too, right?
Social media, yeah. You can look us up. We created a page called FFA Auction Events, where they can kind of follow these events as we are a part of them across the country.
I'll put that on the show notes. What is it? One more time.
FFA Auction Events. It's a page on Facebook, and so they can follow that. And we had been trying to stream on this state association page, or if we couldn't get into that, then I was streaming it on my page or the auction school page. And it just got so confusing. And somebody said, why don't you just create a page for that? And so now it's just kind of these FFA auction events. And we figured we would share some student success stories and some, things that these FFA kids are doing across the country, and try to keep that going. So if they want to follow that, then we'll try to keep all of these events there.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll get that on the show notes and so forth. So I want to commend you for taking on this arduous process. It's certainly, and I know you're traveling a lot, and I think you're doing not only good thing for the auction industry, you're doing good things for the young people. And I don't know how you can't benefit from doing that, huh?
Yeah, it's been great. And like everybody
the other
says,
day you said you were like in 8 states or something in a few days.
Yeah, we went to Indianapolis to the convention, and then we drove down to Nashville and spent the days at the Tennessee convention, Auctioneers convention. Did their camp on Monday, got up and flew out at 5 o'clock on Tuesday morning to South Carolina. And then got delayed in North Carolina, fine in Charlotte, and then came home from South Carolina on a 9-day adventure there. all around. Getting ready to, I go fly back to Indianapolis this weekend, and then come back to do an FFA event in Oklahoma City, and then we'll go do the one in Colorado next week. And so then hopefully it slows down for just a little bit before all of
Go
the
through the
stuff in the
holidays.
spring hits. Yeah. So my wife doesn't want to kill me. So
Get another.
that's,
Didn't recognize you, huh?
yeah, but it's also helped me kind of create, and I was kind of telling you this earlier, but we kind of have set up some things. People ask me all the time, like how you're funded, and like think that maybe I'm getting rich off of this. Like it's just a because I love it thing, and people go,
Passion.
well, that can't be it, but it really is. By the time we pay for people to go, it's just hope and pray that we break even, which doesn't usually happen. But we've done that, but we've also built and getting ready to roll out. In the coming weeks, we've been trying to do this. We've ran into some trouble with software things and how we're doing things, but we're rolling out an FFA fundraising model that mainly focuses on FFA, but really on school groups, church groups, the small groups that can't have gala events. And we sell consignment packages through a company called Auction Travel Group, and we are doing those in online auctions, and we're going to put that out through our contacts with FFA and give them an opportunity to not just sell those low budget fundraisers that don't bring in that much money, and have an opportunity to have big fundraising all at one time, and people can buy their vacation packages and support the FFA chapter, and do it through the auction method, which is something that we wanted to stick to and be driven by. Is that at the end of the day, we believe in auctions, and we believe that auctions work, and we wanted to do something to be able to give back to them, but also is something that where I'm not I can also benefit off of this somewhere down the line in the long run. And it helps the FFA chapter as well. And I think it's going to be great fundraising change, but I think that this event overall has been a huge fundraising change. And that's what we've sold to state associations, to local chapters, is like, you put that kid up there in a blue and gold jacket with a microphone selling at a pie auction, you're going to make way more money than if me or Paul comes and does it, right? Like they want to help that kid, they want to give to that kid, they want to support that kid, and so if you can get a kid involved in this, it's going to change the fundraising game at your local level.
Amen. And so then also auctioneers and people that are in quest for fundraising can also reach out and have dialogue with you about that also.
Yeah, we sell consignment packages, and we have the best return on investment for the auctioneer. So we sell to benefit auctioneers through Auction Travel Group, and help them meet goals and negotiate things with their organizations, and try to take some of the load off of them, where they connect us to the organization, and then we'll take care of it from there.
Perfect. Well, hey, Justin, I appreciate you taking an hour out of your busy day to chat with us. And those of you that have been listening, we've had Justin Kennedy on here from Oklahoma, and we've been talking about the new process that the Future Farmers of America coming together with the auctioneers and starting hopefully someday soon a new CDE. And so we've had a great conversation. And Justin, keep up the good work, and I'm sure I'll be in touch with you when we get Arizona going over here.
All right. Thanks for having me, Paul.
You bet. I'm going to finish up here. Ladies and gentlemen, coming up, the 11th annual Anchor F Club Calf Sale, which is going to take place on Sunday, November the 23rd. We're going to be in beautiful Santa Cruz County, Arizona, Sonoyta, Arizona, actually, at the Santa Cruz County Fairgrounds. They're going to have a preview of the steers at 12 noon. There'll be a live auction at 1 p.m. There is no internet bidding for this auction. However, if you'll make arrangements with Dean Fish to have a phone, they will have some phone people taking phone bids there. So call him. I recommend you don't call him the day of the auction, but certainly if you'll set up a situation with him a few days before, that you can set up if you're not able to be there. You can contact Dean at 520-988-8009, or you can reach him at anchorf@gmail.com. That's the 11th annual Anchor F Club Calf Sale. All right, Justin, appreciate you coming on today, and we'll see you soon. Ladies and gentlemen, if it's Western, it's probably Western Ag Life.